Hello again, class. I know it's taking a little longer than I thought it would. I've been having technical difficulties, but I'm getting it done. So here is your video on how to write with R.A.C.E, R-A-C-E. Um, so without any further ado, we're going to talk about and reference back to the Newsella article that that we used on our first assignment 1001. And the assignment was, the article, forgive me, was about children in Chicago who are wanting to make a change in their world by hosting a protest, a march. So when I assigned it, I asked you all to write an article or write a paragraph that answers the question, how, let me see, what is it? Miss Scott's losing her brain. Okay, hold on a second. Let us step out to the thing here. Yeah, okay, so hold on. ELA. Should not be that hard, sorry. In the comments, answer this question. What does this mean to you? Resistance has never been less futile. What does this mean to you? Resistance has never been less futile. Okay, so let me put this up here. What does this mean to you? Resistance has never been less futile. Let's fix it up here a little bit because this is supposed to be a quote. Okay. So as we talked about in class, but this is, for your own reference and also for those who weren't in class, it's very difficult to try and write an answer to a question if you don't understand the question completely. So the question is, what does this mean to you? Resistance has never been less futile. But if you don't understand every word in this sentence, it's going to be hard to answer that question. So we are going to start from the very beginning with the word resistance. Resistance is fighting back against rules or laws that are wrong or unjust. Not just is, I guess, how you could say that, unjust. So if you feel like you're in a society that wants you to do something that you don't want to do, like say they're telling you that you have to work in a factory and you want to be a doctor, but they say we already have enough doctors, we need people to work in factories, and so because we're your government, we're going to tell you you must work in a factory. Well, in America we don't do that. In some countries they did, and so in those countries, many of them, they resisted that type of dictatorship. So they would resist, they would protest, they would, they would sneak out of the country and go to a different country, what have you, but they would fight against that system. So it's like if your fist is coming at you and you stop it. And that force of stopping what is coming at you is resistance. So you can call it maybe fighting back. as we have here, fighting back. And the word futile, let us look. Futile is useless or ineffective. So if somebody tells you that resistance is futile, it means you can try to stop this fist, but it's not going to work. We're going to push on through anyway. You're not strong enough to stop us. So it means that it's useless to try to fight. So in the context of this sentence, resistance has never been less futile. They're saying fighting back has never been less of a problem. Okay, so let's just rewrite our sentence a little bit. My pretty colors. I love my pretty colors. Let's do orange. Okay, so now we have a sentence that says fighting back. If it never has been, then it is now. Fighting is now less of a problem than it's ever been. Yeah, that means, you know, we can do this and it's not gonna get us in trouble. It may actually be productive. And it's just saying that now is a good time. If you're gonna do that kind of thing, do it now. Okay. So taking that into account, that is now our what we're actually going to be analyzing and responding to, even though we're going to still use the original terminology. Hold up. I move it up. And then I do this. We're going to now get to where we're going to write. And we, in our class, you guys have, many of you did recall that we have a poster in our classroom that talks about race, R.A.C.E. And it's an acronym for how it is, the format that we use to write a paragraph such as this. When you are asked a question, you write in this way. So in this way, we start with R. R means repeat the question. In other words, when you are asked a question like, why are you wearing that hat? You say, I am wearing that hat because it is my favorite. Or if somebody says, how do you build a house? You would say, the way you build a house is hammer, nails, wood, etc. But you include the question in the answer. And in terms of that last one, you could simply start the paragraph by saying, there are many ways to build a house. Okay? It doesn't have to be an explicit answer. And I'll show you that in just a minute. But it does have to repeat the question. So A stands for answer the question. So that's where you give your answer. C stands for cite your evidence from the reading. And E stands for explain your evidence. And they'll explain how your evidence supports your answer. And then we change this from deemed evidence. Evidently. Nope. There we go. Okay, so using this method, the R.A.C.E method, we're going to construct our paragraph. It doesn't have to be a long, long paragraph. It just has to answer the question. And it has to do so in a full and completely academic kind of way. So if our question is, what does this mean to you? Resistance has never been futile. Futile. We get that right eventually. My first, this is red. Make you red. Okay, never mind. It's green. This will be red. So you have to touch on all these points. You have to repeat the question because that's what academics do. You have to answer the question, of course, because why would you be doing it if you didn't want to give an answer? You have to cite evidence. Now, as you get older, you're gonna note that these types of things get bigger. The one that we're going to write right now is actually very small, only 4 or 5 sentences. But as you get older, you're going to have to cite more evidence than I am. You're going to have to explain in more thorough terms how your evidence supports your answer. So one paragraph may not be enough. But right now, as we're doing this, you're going to actually just give one piece of evidence and show how your evidence is supportive of your answer. Okay, so I'm going to start with repeating the question. The question is, what does this mean to you? Resistance has never been less futile. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the phrase, resistance has never been less futile. Can mean many things. So as I said earlier, excuse me, the first thing when you're repeating the question doesn't actually have to even answer the question. It just has to show that you understand what the question is. Sorry. So I've done that. I have answered the question, or not answered the question, but repeated the question, and now I will answer it. For me, it means that fighting back against unjust laws or rules is not the problem it used to be. Yeah. Okay, now I am going to use my evidence. My evidence, of course, is in the article. So I'm gonna state that in the article. We will change the world. 6th graders plan Chicago Children's March. I'm having a field day with this, aren't I? In the article, we will change the world. 6th graders plan Chicago Children's March. The children that were interviewed stated that they were planning on marching for the 3 E's. Education, equality, and the other one, which is the environment. So this is my evidence. The sixth graders are going to march to promote awareness for the three E's: education, equality, and the environment. So they have a purpose of promoting these things, and they're going to use a march to bring awareness, to spread that awareness out. And now I'm going to show how that ties into or supports my answer, which is that for me, it means that fighting back against unjust laws or rules is not the problem it used to be. The children are using the success of previous marches to to shine a light on the problems they would like to fix. Yeah, it's not the best paragraph, but it'll service. It'll do. You know, I can go back and fix it later if I feel like it. But for now, this covers all my bases. I repeated the question by saying the phrase resistance has never been less futile, and it can mean many things. I've answered the question by stating, for me, it means that fighting back against unjust laws or rules is not the problem it used to be. And I cited evidence from the reading that stated in the article, "We Will Change the World, Sixth Graders Planned Chicago Children's March." The children that were interviewed stated that they planned on marching to promote awareness for the three E's: education, equality, and the environment. And then I explained how my evidence that I pulled from the article supports my own answer by stating the children are using the success of the previous marches to shine a light on the problems they would like to fix. And that's all you need to do, but you need to do all of it. One word or one sentence answers do not work. We are academic and we have to learn to write like academics. Okay, so this is how you do it. If you have any questions, you know how to get me. Thanks. Well, no, thanks.